What's good, fam? It's your big bro, Jay Floyd, man. Listen, I made this podcast for one reason and one reason only, man. That's to be a positive voice in my community. To be a big brother to those who need a big brother. You know what I'm saying? We might chop it up about some things, some topics you ain't gonna hear elsewhere. Yeah. So with that being said, cue the music. What's up, everybody, man? Welcome again to the Big Bro Podcast, man. Come on in, chill. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to my home. I am your host, man, Jay Floyd, Big Bro. Man, we doing this again, man. I want to, number one, I want to thank everybody who's been tuning in. Thank you to everybody who gave me some good feedback, some positive feedback, man. We chopped it up, you know, the first couple episodes, just kind of going back and forth over things I wanted to touch on, man. I'm going to keep doing that, man. I'm going to keep, you know, it's not going to be just one angle. Ain't going to be just one lane on this show. You know, I want to, you know, I think that the culture, man, our culture, and especially where I'm coming from as a black man, it's so many different, we multifaceted, man. And, you know, our culture, which reaches everybody, is multifaceted. So it's so many things we can touch on. And, today we just gonna keep doing it, man. We gonna keep rocking, and we just gonna keep hitting it in a way that everybody can relate to it. All right. So again, man, welcome. Thank y'all, man. I want to shout out my sponsors, Greenwood Disc, man. Go visit them. Go visit greenwooddisc.com, man. Use the promo code JFloyd and get your discount, man. These t-shirts is dopeness, man. Y'all will hear the ad come in the middle of the show, so I don't even need to touch too much on that. But man, shout out to everybody doing their thing, man. It was Blackout Week recently. I visited a lot of online black owned shops, man, and just went out and did my work, man. One of the things I didn't want to do was just ask people, man. I wanted to go do my research, man, and find out, you know, what companies is out there, what they got, man. I found me some really dope new soap that I'm doing, man. So, and shout out last episode, man, I did a trivia question, right? Where we were talking about the Black Star song, and I dropped a trivia question, man, where it was I was talking about, before the Black Star song, I was talking about a Public Enemy song that my brother introduced me to and was breaking down to me, and he talked about Joanne Chesimard, man. So I asked if anybody knew who that was, and the answer is Assata Shakur. You know, she's a Cuban exile, and anybody who goes to read her story, hopefully anybody who heard that went out and checked it out. I know my man Leonard the Answer Johnson, it was the winner. He hit up my page with the answer, so shout out to that dude. He is the winner of a brand new Big Bro box, man. So the Big Bro box is a brand new concept, man. It's gonna be rolling out. Cass is gonna get it, you know, whenever I feel like they worthy of it, man. You know, so he gonna get the first one, man. I ain't telling folks what's in it, but trust me, it's good stuff. It's things that's related to me and this show. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna get probably some black owned products. You're gonna get probably some things that's really healthy and good for you to get into your vibe, man. And good for you to feel good about yourself and start walking with your chest out and your chin up, because you know that's what this show is all about, and that's what I'm all about. So those are the kind of things you're gonna get, because I think if you're gonna spend your time doing things like a podcast and reaching out to people, you should be trying to affect the world in the best way you meant to affect it. And this is the way that I'm meant to affect the world, by reaching out to people and helping them get their chest out and their chin up and to live like that, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what I try to do every day. That's what my mentors help me do. And that's what I try to mentor back into people, man. So with that being said, we're going to get right into the topic, man. Today's topic is what I call the circle of influence. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody is taking notes, man, circle of influence will be today's topic, man. And I want to I kind of set this up last time when I started out talking about my big brother, who is the motivation for this show. That again, showing you his influence on me. One of the things that he did was break down hip hop lyrics to me in a deep way that to this day mean a lot to me. I'm working on a new album right now, and to this day, hip hop lyrics and deep lyrics with meaning, it means a lot to me because of the things he did, because of the way he broke it down. It really hit me in the heart. So I want to talk about circle of influence, and to fully explain this and show my angle on this, I'm going to have to tell a couple stories about me and my brother. So let me just describe, I'm a 44-year-old black man, right? I'm raised in Cleveland, Ohio, right? My parents were divorced when they split up when I was 2 months old. My brother was almost 4, and we went into abject poverty. My father was the breadwinner. My mom got full custody, so without him around, we went into straight poverty. So we had to move back to the hoods where my mom grew up. But instead of having a house in the hood, we had to live with people who lived in the hood because we didn't even have a house. So most of my younger childhood was living with cousins and aunts who was in the hood. So, this is the story of me and my brother growing up starts there, right? It starts there with my brother having a lot of angst about the fact that, he was living this suburban life before I was born. Then, right after I was born, our parents split up, and all of a sudden we broke as a joke with no county check, because, my mom's had, back then she had that 80s pride, man. She had the pride wasn't going to let her go get no check. So she ain't got no check, although we did get some cheese sometime. But just to fill in the story, man, we spent about 10 years, maybe 9, in that situation. It was long, it was arduous, and it was rough. And in those times, my mom would try to get us out. But, the biggest thing was, for a boy, the oldest boy, he started trying to fill in that role, right? So we know that you can apply this to anybody that anybody that has gone through a similar situation, or maybe you lived that. Maybe that was your life story. But when there's a fracture in the family and the father is gone, typically the oldest son tries to fill in, right? And so when we finally started making a comeback, right? We finally made it, to get a place to live and to have a decent living. We moved into a suburb, and my brother was at this point had been through a lot. And, in his growing up, things that I can't relate to, right? So he had got bullied and things like that. He was a bigger dude. He was hefty, what they call husky back in the day. When we went to get jeans, he was husky, So he would get picked on. He get called fat boy and chubby and all them other things that ain't politically correct. And his response eventually was to start knocking people out, right? So he started to get real violent, and he would just have these fights and, so that's the trajectory his life started to take. Although he was a really sweet, kind kid and super intelligent, anybody who met him that knew that, but he also had this side where he was responding violently to a lot of things, right? So you fast forward to about 6 years into us being in the suburbs, and he's in a gang and he's doing some things, and he ended up getting murdered. He was shot and killed. He was 19 years old and I was 16, right? So I set this up. That was 1992. That was a long time ago. The pain still endures, but it fades and God heals, right? But I say all of this to say I wanted to set this up so that we understand my point on circle of influence, right? So let me tell you one. I was talking to my wife the other day, and we was talking about our childhood and things that we had been through. It's one of the things I advise for anybody who has a serious relationship or marriage. Discuss your childhood, man, in a very honest way. Tell each other the things that y'all done been through. Even if it's things you don't really want to hear, I think it's the best thing to do, right? So we talking to each other. We telling each other some things that we may not necessarily want to hear, but they real. They are experience and they are truth. And I was just happening to talk about when I was in the 3rd grade, me and my best friend, we would walk to school together every morning. And somehow he was just getting on my nerves, and next thing you know, I fought him, right? And then the next day I fought him again, and like a couple days later I fought him. And so as I was just recalling this story, and I'm telling my wife that, and it's like, wow, as I'm saying it, I'm like, man, that's gotta sound weird. Like, why would this 8-9-year-old boy be fighting his best friend for days straight, like every day? And she just happened to be like, so what was going on in your life at that time? And I was like, yeah, it's and this light bulb went off, right? So it's like I never had given it much thought, but now that I'm thinking about it, right at this time, my brother was in the 7th grade, and he was really wilding out, right? Like his violence had really expanded to the point where we had started to see it. Me and my mom could see it. So we got into, one day had got into this, he was late coming home from school, and he got into this big fight right outside of our door. When my mom opened the door and she sees this crowd of like 20 kids looking like they're watching a Mike Tyson fight, and in the middle is my brother. So she reached in and she grabbed him. And I'm recalling all of this, and I'm like, wow, all of these years passed by, and I never really thought about the fact that I was acting out in this violent way. I never looked at myself as a violent kid. You know what I mean? My brother was the one that got into a lot of fights. I had very few fights, but the ones that happened, man, right there at that moment, my brother had been, his violence had escalated to the point where it showed up in our household. And right at that same time, I started exhibiting violent traits, right? So that's just one story. So I'll fast forward a little bit, right? Let's fast forward a little bit. And so we continue going on that road. I didn't, go too far with that. I was able to still be me. I was always this really shy, straight A student. I never got B's. I always got A's and hopefully A pluses, right? My brother, especially after that point, has started to like kind of reel a little bit academically. He would go, maybe not go, have some issues, not like this teacher, not like that teacher, get into a fight here, fight there, suspension here, suspension there. And one day, I hit 7th grade, right? Now keep in mind, I had made it through all of these years, never got a B, straight A, straight A, straight A. It got to the point where my parents wouldn't even look, nobody would look at my report card. They wouldn't give it a second look because they know it's going to be A's on it, right? So 7th grade comes around, and they would send these early progress reports. So these progress report comes in the mail, and I'm not thinking nothing about it, man. And my brother just starts ripping open the mail one day, and he rips this thing open, and it says it's my progress report, and it's got all F's on it, all F's. And I remember he looked at me, and you could see kind of like the relief of, man, this dude finally messed up in school. I'm always the one, and now it's finally him. And I remember I was like, yo, please don't tell Mom. And man, he was like, man, I'm telling her. And he ran right up there and told her, man. And I didn't really get like no serious punishment, man. It was just like the looks of disappointment on my mom's face, and actually my brother's face too, strangely enough. I think everybody was just kind of like, man, this is just crazy. Like, why would you do that? So same story, man. I was talking to my wife one day, and we talking about our kids and how they're doing in school. And I remember saying, hey, I got straight A's in school every year up until 7th grade. And she was like, what happened in 7th grade? And I was like, and I got straight F's. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, I know, right? And so I'm laughing about it because it's a story that I told a million times. To me, it is what it is, right? It's just one of the things that happened. I straightened up and I got back okay. I never really got back to straight A's, but I didn't get F's. I didn't get straight F's. I just became like, all right, So in my mind, it was just, I hit the wall. You know what I'm saying? Hit the wall, man. That's just the end of straight A's for me, right? And maybe it just wasn't meant for me to keep going that way, right? And I remember she was like, yo, man, you went 6 straight years though. I mean, what was going on that year? And I was like, what you mean what was going on? You know, it's like, and I stopped to really like take an assessment, like what was going on that year. And it was like, wow, my brother dropped out of school that year. Man. What's up? It's your big bro, Jay Floyd, man. Y'all wanted to come on here and tell y'all about Greenwood Dist. Man, Greenwood Dist is a dope black-owned apparel company, man. They specialize in dope graphic tees that are all about black excellence, black encouragement, and black empowerment, man. Listen, I always wanted to have a relationship with a company or a product that really matched me and what I believe in and what I stand for. And man, I couldn't be a better marriage than me linking up with Greenwood Dist. Greenwood Dist, man, they actually named, if you go look it up, man, you know I'm all about your research. If you look it up, they are named after the town in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Black Wall Street once stood before it was torn down in the Tulsa uprising, man. So go out and check out greenwooddist.com. And also, man, if you put in the promo code JFloyd, JAYFLOYD, tell them your big bro sent you, they'll knock 10% off for you, man, for a lifetime, man. Keep using that. All right, y'all, one. I never, like, for one, I see myself so separate from my brother, you know, not necessarily just because he died, but even when he was alive, I saw myself like as a completely separate entity. Like we didn't have a whole lot in common other than we looked a lot like, you know. I didn't look at myself like that. I didn't look at myself as the things he was going through had a direct effect on me, right? I think I could probably kind of just saw it as, man, he the bad one, man. I'm good over here, man. I'm handling my business. He's over here wilding, you know? But we got to think about that circle of influence. His circle of influence included the person closest to him. Whether we got along or not, it did. Whether he realized it or not, and whether I realized it or not, it did. So the things he was doing directly influenced me. You tracking with me? You understand what I'm saying? This is what I want y'all to understand. For every single one of us, man, the people around us, especially the people closest to us, they in our circle of influence, man. You know? Now, the good news is it can go both ways, right? We can be influenced in a positive way too. And just to balance this out, man, I want to give a couple good stories, right? So I talked to you about growing up with my brother, being 4 years apart. You know, we typically just didn't, we ain't lived the same lifestyle either. So we typically didn't have a whole lot that we like shared at the same time, right? But there was some things that was good with that. Like so much, a lot of the reasons why I was getting straight A's was because he was learning the stuff first. And he was so excited about it. I remember he would come home, he would learn German and come home and be excited about it, right? And or he would left his room open a lot, and I would, when he was gone, you know, just running the streets doing what he wanted to do, I would just go in his room because I was always in the house. So, you know, you pair those two things up, I would just go through his room, and I remember I would see like the Iliad and the Odyssey. And I would be like, man, what is this? And I would just read it like, and I don't understand really what they're saying, but I'm about to read this. And with me being exposed to these things that are 4, 5, 6, 7 years ahead of where I am academically, it advanced me. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, I'm in school and they're saying, oh man, you're reading at this grade level. You're off the charts. Well, a lot of that was because of who I was with, who I was around. You know, I walked in this room one time and the autobiography of Malcolm X was sitting there. And I read that, you know what I mean? And it was like just getting all of that influence. It wasn't always that, like the story that I told last time with him breaking down the Public Enemy lyrics to me. It wasn't always just him sitting and breaking down and saying something directly to me. Sometimes it's just what he was doing was left there to affect me, right? What he was doing. right? I want to give another one really quick, man. I told y'all my brother got really involved in gangs, right? So we started gang banging, man. And this, for me, it hit me because I'm just this homebody kid. I love comic books. I love chilling in the house, watching TV, trying to draw some comic book characters. And, next thing you know, he got these rags and these flags and these, and he talking about these symbols, and he got stuff with the symbols graffitied on them. So next thing you know, I'm in school and I'm drawing them things too. I'm drawing the symbols, right? And I started to gain an affection for what he's representing. I'm living vicariously through him, not really the fighting and the violence and the things that you typically, or the media would typically associate with gangs. It was, he had went out and found this family that he could be a leader of, just like he wanted to do it in our house. And I started to gain affection for that. As a little brother, I was looking up to that. Right. So I started, saying a little something to my friends and started bubbling a little word of what I wanted to do. And it kind of got around to some of the gang leaders that was my age. And so when I started growing up, I hit like 7th grade. And when I hit 8th grade, they was like, yo, we heard you might want to be getting in. Right. Now your brother is already down. Down by law. Though we know what cats in the early 90s was talking about in the late 80s. But listen, they was like, he already down. So you basically already in, man. If you really want to get in, we'll go easy on you. You just get a couple of your friends to go with you. We'll rough them up. You know what I'm saying? We going in on them. But you just get it light. And you in, man, because your brother that already stamped you. We know how he get down. You in. And I was like, you know what? That sounds kind of cool. I like it. Sign me up. They was like, all right, meet us here Friday at the school field, the field behind the school building. We're going to do this. Bring your boys. Blah, blah. Man, I was making it happen. I guess, I don't know. It was just appealing to me. It seemed like the thing to do. So I showed up. I'm ready. I'm scared to death, but I'm ready. I'm like, let's do this. Right? Me and my boys, we going. Got my best friend right next to me, and he was like, man, let's do this. And right before it started, my brother drove up. I guess word had got back to him. He drove up, and I remember he didn't even get out the car, man. He just rolled his window down, and he was like, what are you doing? Get in this car. This is not for you, bruh. This ain't for you. And I looked around, and I hopped in that car, man. And, my best friend hopped in too, man, because he was like, listen, I'm getting out of here too. But listen, that moment changed my life. That was a crossroads in my life, and he was there to assert his circle of influence again on me, right? So I want you to think about it this way, right? It's a radius all around us, and the things that we do, because we always talking, we always posting on social media. We say, this is what I stand for, this is what I believe in. We always saying something. But look, it's just like with kids and parents. People listen to very little of what you're saying. They watch what you do, right? So your influence comes so much from what you do. I know a lot of people ain't into going to church, but please believe me, you are a minister that's preaching a sermon every day, everywhere you go. The question is, what is your sermon about? What are you teaching people, right? So you got 2 circles to think about. This is what this means for us, right? You got 2 circles that we need to think about. The circle that you influence, right? Me, that I influence, my kids, my household, my friends, my co-workers, my nieces, my nephews, the young lions around me, my audience. the people who listen to me when I go speak, the people who are listening to my podcast right now. I got to be responsible to the things that I do and how I get down, right? Even with my spouse, I've been married almost 8 years. You know what I'm saying? When you be down that long, man, you affect each other. You know what I'm saying? If I start getting off into some wild, let's say for instance, I start getting off into some wild out political hotep stuff or something. You know what I'm saying? Eventually it might rub off on my wife too. You know what I'm saying? Because we down like that. We tight like that. So you got to be careful on what you are really working into your circle of influence, man. What are you doing? What are you doing, right? What you showing your audience. We all got an audience. Even if you don't have a podcast, you still got an audience. Trust me. Now, the second circle is the circle that you are a part of, because you are a part of somebody's circle of influence too. A lot of people, your friends, your mentors, your parents, all the people you look up to, the people you idolize, the people we idolize, right? The people we idolize. Yeah, I got a lot of people that I look and I'm like, man, they saying some good stuff. I might look at them like they super positive and mature and they feed me into my life, but I can't idolize that. The people we idolize. And also, whose audience are we in? What podcast do I listen to? You know what I'm saying? I might have a podcast, but which ones do I listen to? I'm in their audience. I'm in their circle of influence. What TV shows I'm watching, what I'm binging on Netflix. I'm in their circle of influence, right? I'm not saying you got to go starve yourself or fast from all of these things, man. I'm not a big believer in doing a lot of that. I'm a believer in working on your heart. Because if you work on your heart, then those behaviors will follow, right? So here's my advice, man, to me, to you. What I want to leave you with, this is what we got to do, man. I was typically going to say this is for folks of a certain age, but I don't even know if it is, man. I think this really applies to everybody. Number one, go get you a mentor. Yeah, get you somebody that you can really learn from, man. Somebody that you can really learn from. Find one. Reach out to them. Don't stop with the passive aggressive. Let me put a note on Facebook and see who gets back with me. No. Go find people, man. Go out and find what resonates with you and reach out to people. Make your voice be heard. Like, listen, I seen you. Hey, can I, you know what I'm saying? You think you might want to give me some advice? This is what I'm all about. And this is what I might need some help with one day. Can we bond like that? You know what I'm saying? You ain't even got to get in people's faces no more because everybody's quarantined. All you got to do is reach out. It's not that hard, man. We got to reach out. Develop that muscle. Develop the muscle that allows you to reach out. And also, go find somebody to mentor. Because you know what? That sharpens us too. That gives us something to live up to. Number one, it helps our responsibility, our accountability, and our communication. Get a mentor, and that way there's a chain, man. There's a chain. If you look at it like, if you had somebody that was 20 years old and somebody that's 40 years old and somebody that's 60 years old and they all stay in direct communication, imagine the power from that. Imagine the wisdom that's going to come out of that 60-year-old. Imagine the strength that's going to come out of that 40-year-old. Imagine the energy that's going to come out of that 20-year-old. And imagine if you get all of those together. Now we talking about if you want to go rebuild the communities. If you want to help rebuild families, well, when that 20-year-old want to go get married, or that 40-year-old is getting remarried, or that 60-year-old, all of that, or a 60-year-old is having issues reaching out to his grandkids, that communication chain can help every single person there, can help everybody in it. So if we're talking about we want to rebuild our communities, we need to rebuild our families, this is the type thing that does it, right? Not just saying it. Not just posting it And not just saying, let me go build me a family. Let me go find a wife and start making some kids. No, these type things run alongside all of that and keep it strong and keep us strong. We get held accountable. We get affirmed. We talked about all of that a couple of shows ago. That's love, right? So try to get involved in one of those chains, man. I talked to my mentors, man, and now the challenge then, and the challenge that I face right now, I have mentors that truly love me and reach out to me and want to bond, and they give me advice. You know what I'm saying? Now my challenge is how can I bring value to them? I don't want it to be one-sided. So this is what I mean when you get involved in these kind of interactions, these kind of chains. It causes us all to step up and be better. So now in this season, I'm going to learn how to be a better friend, how to be a better communicator, how to be a person more in tune with other people's needs. You see what I'm saying? And those other people have done great jobs of reaching out and helping me through things, man, through things that they've been through in a similar way, So trust and believe, man, these things work. This is where we need to go. When we talk about rebuilding the black family, rebuilding the black community, it is not just done economically. And in fact, it won't be done economically if we can't also go alongside it spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, right? And rebuild ourselves, man. Change our hearts and let our behaviors follow that. All right. So again, man, this has been a great one, man. I appreciate all of y'all for listening. Keep rocking with me, man. I'm gonna have more to come, man. Thank you for chilling with your big bro in his family room, man. And join me again, man. I love y'all. Peace.